What a great way to walk up to my favorite karaoke song. So if you guys know me, you know that I love Wagon Wheel and I love karaoke. But man, this is absolutely incredible. As Jeff mentioned, I literally manifested this moment this time last year. I literally was sitting in the crowd. I did get a chance to come up on stage and speak on an agency panel, but I literally said, man, I want to be on that stage. And I put the work in order to get here, and I'm excited to share a little bit about that journey with you guys here today. And I want to start with commitment. And with commitment, I want us to close your eyes here for a brief moment. And I want you guys to go back to that moment in time as you guys have your eyes closed, and go back to that moment in time when you guys got into digital marketing. Because the reason why we get into business, the reason why we're in entrepreneurship, the reason why we do what we do every single day is for something bigger. And when you go back to that moment where you're like, hey, I'm gonna take a chance on myself. I'm gonna build the agency, I'm gonna scale it, I'm gonna hire people, I'm gonna do all that stuff. We oftentimes forget about commitment. We forget that excitement that we had to go start the business, because all the other stuff comes into play. I literally got an shown an email of a client leaving this morning. I'm sure since you guys have been here, there's been some type of email you've gotten that you're like, crap, I'm thrown off of what I'm doing. So as we leave here, as you guys are ignited, as you guys are excited, make sure you remember that moment of why you got started. You guys can open your eyes now. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about how I got started. So up there next to this picture of the amazing resort we're at is a picture of an ad that I saw back in 2018. So I was in medical device sales for 5 years. And in 2018, I had just proposed to my lovely wife, Delaney, who is here. And amazing, she's been able to be here. I've spoken on about 40 different stages over the last couple of years. This is the first time she's actually been able to join me in person. But I was in medical device sales. I was working really long hours, making really good money. And I'm sure like many of you have typed into Google how to make money online. So I was sitting in a hotel room in Kansas City, Missouri, sitting in a hotel room after the third week in a row where I was literally gone from Monday to Thursday night. And I said, I'm sick of this. I'm gonna try to find a way to make money online. And I looked at Amazon drop shipping, eBay reselling, all the crazy courses that made basically you to be a millionaire in the next couple of months, which I knew weren't true. I saw that picture, almost an identical picture. And it taught me how to build wealth and grow a business and start a business with digital marketing. And there's a couple people here in the front row that are actually in that course that I took. But I got back into digital marketing in 2018 because I wanted the freedom. And for me, it was the freedom to work when I want, where I want, how I want, and with who I want. And I wanted to make sure that by the time I was getting ready to marry Delaney and have kids and build a family, that I wasn't tied down to working for somebody else. And so now with our first kid on the way, we're finally able to live this life that I manifested starting back in 2018. So I'm here with you guys today, and a lot of people have came up to me and they're like, Adam, I can't wait for you to talk. I can't wait to hear you because I've been following you. I literally am resonating with everything that you say. I'm just a regular dude. I work really hard. I'll teach you guys some strategies, some tactics, things like that. But what I've been able to manifest, what I've been able to do, this is all possible for all you guys as well. You guys have what it takes to be successful. So my name is Adam McChesney. I'm going to talk to you guys today about how I scaled an agency from 0 to 7 figures in just over 15 months. And I'm going to share some of that stuff with you guys today. And we're here at the Commitment Summit. So I know everybody's been writing their commitments out there. I was actually the first person to write my commitment out there. I'm a little bit of an overachiever if you haven't met me. But I am the commitment to living a whole, well-rounded life. And that's in all areas of my life, not just in business, not just in faith, not just in relationships, not just in health and fitness, but literally all over. That is my focus. And A little bit about me. So I mentioned Delaney. This is our dog, Georgie. So I put up there that I'm a husband and father to be. Technically, I'm already a father because if you have seen any of our social media stuff, Georgie is a handful sometimes, but he's an amazing dog, but he's basically a kid. Leader, love that. Leader, speaker, so as I mentioned, I've spoken on about 40 stages over the last couple of years. Serial entrepreneur, so I also own an auto glass company and a joint venture in a landscape design company that were literally businesses that I had built off of those original websites that I built. So if anybody's ever had a client tell them, hey, if you're so good at digital marketing and you're so good at running a business, why don't you go start that business? I did it twice and have some lessons to share with you guys. Obviously, digital marketer and podcaster as well. I always love when I give these talks to talk about core values. So this is a picture of our core values that are up in our office in St. Louis. And we talk about this all the time with our team, with our clients. And these are core values for me personally as well as in our business. If you don't have core values, I absolutely recommend getting those dialed in and getting those started. But my core values are in the acronym of TRUST. So I focused on taking action, results that matter, utilizing resources, setting expectations, and transform lives. So with the taking action part, the reason why I'm here today is I literally took action. I took action after sitting in this room last year. I put in a ton of work. I hired a speaking coach literally in last December, not even knowing that I was going to have this opportunity, but that I was going to have other opportunities. And then I manifested, I put in the work, I made sure that I was able to be on this stage this year. I focus on results that matter. So you guys are going to see where I started, where I've gone, and I'm going to show you the true data. I'm not going to talk up here about theory and what other people do to be successful. I'm just going to show you guys what I've done. I'm going to utilize resources. So I'm going to utilize different resources to be able to say, hey, here's what I did and here's how I got there. If you want to follow the same path, you can try to do this as well, and I'll show you exactly the blueprint to do it. Setting expectations. So this is huge, especially in digital marketing. I'm going to talk to you guys for over the next 33 minutes about a lot of stuff. If you try to write down everything and implement everything, you're going to implement nothing. So take one or two things from this presentation and go to implement it today or when you get back home, but don't try to do everything. And transform lives. That's my favorite part about this, right? If I can impact one person here today, the ripple effect, all of that stuff, it's worth everything. I'm here to transform your life in a better way than before it was when you came into this presentation today. So I've given the talk about scaling my agency from 0 to 7 figures probably over 15 times now. And I used to only talk strategy and tactics. And this is the first time that I'm adding in mindset, habits, and routines. The reason is if you guys have ever met me, if you guys have followed me on social media, I am the first person to literally walk you through the exact blueprint of everything I've done. I hold absolutely nothing back. The problem is 99% of people don't follow it to a T. They don't. And so it's not the strategy or the tactic or the tactics that aren't working, because I've already proven that. I know other people that have been successful with it. But it's the mindset, it's the habits, and it's the routines. So there's 3 questions, and we'll kind of go through a little bit of this a little bit further in depth, but there's 3 questions you need to ask yourself. With mindset, specifically, and I don't care if you're trying to go to 7 figures, I don't care if you're trying to just get to 500,000 or if you're doing multiple 7 figures, but you have to ask yourself, who do I have to become to scale my agency to where I want it to? You have to talk about the habits. And when we talk about habits, a lot of times people think that they have to just add habits to their routine, to their life. You do, but there's also things you're gonna have to subtract as well, and that could also be people. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then ultimately, do my daily routines reflect where I'm trying to go to and scale to? Once we have that foundation, we're gonna talk about some of the strategies and the tactics. We're going to talk about personal branding. We're going to talk about prospecting and sales. We're going to talk about building a team. So I'm going to teach you guys how to stick out in a crowded marketplace without paid advertising. I'm going to teach you guys how to leverage your personal brand so that way you guys can get more of your ideal clients and then also keep them long term. And then we're going to talk about building a team. This has been one of my favorite aspects of what I've done because I could not physically have accomplished what I have over the last couple of years without our amazing team. And I'm going to teach you how to delegate and elevate within your agency so then that way you can become the CEO to scale wherever you want to go. Does that sound good? Yeah. Awesome. So as I mentioned, I'm just going to run through real quick on my background. I was in medical device sales for 4 or 5 years. From 2016 to 2020, I managed a $25 million a year sales territory at a company called ResMed, massive company, and I was 26 years old when I got that promotion. So my first full year after that, I was making $200,000 a year, but as I told you guys before, I found a course in 2018 because ultimately I didn't want to work for somebody else the rest of my life. I built 200 websites before I actually went full-time with this and sold stuff. So one of the coolest parts about that journey is I got to throw a bunch of stuff against the wall. I got to build websites on a variety of different platforms, do the SEO, do all that stuff. I built 200 websites as a side project or side hustle that turned into an actual business. And then I went full-time into entrepreneurship. Towards the end of 2020, I was in that rank and rent model. I switched to traditional digital marketing agency services and then found Height in 2021. And just came up on my 2 years of being at Height. So that's a little bit about my journey. I want you guys, if you guys don't take away anything else from this entire presentation, which I hope you do, I want you guys to focus on this one slide and this one framework right here. You guys are learning about some amazing strategies and some amazing tactics at this event. But the reason your agency or the reason why you're not where you want to be in life isn't because you're 1 or 2 strategies or tactics away, 1 service offering away from your business. This is absolutely a game between your ears, and you are what is holding you back. Absolutely, without a doubt. And so if you can start to work on yourself, if you can be the CEO of a 7-figure agency when you're not doing any revenue, but if you can have that mindset, that's what's ultimately going to take you where you need to be. It's not because you don't have the perfect offer. It's not because you haven't added TikTok advertising because a client asked you to do it. It's none of those things. It's everything that you can possibly control, and I know that for a fact because I've been that person. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit about what I've done. So this is that question that you need to ask yourself, and you need to be very, very intentional about asking yourself this question. It's not going to be fun to look yourself in the mirror and to ask this question and to go write down the answers to these questions, but you're going to have to get real, you're going to have to get raw. Who do I have to become in order to scale or in order to get my agency where I'm trying to scale to? So I mentioned I started this journey full-time into entrepreneurship in the midst of the pandemic, starting at $0 in revenue. I invested in myself a month into entrepreneurship and joined my first mastermind, got in my first community. And one of the things they talked about was building a personal brand, building something bigger than yourself. But the mindset component of that, I was operating as a 7-figure agency owner. I was doing all of the daily activities, all of the daily habits of somebody that would be running a 7-figure agency when I was doing less than $10,000 a month. Because I didn't want to be that $10,000 a month agency owner. I wanted to be that 7-figure a year agency owner. And so I started to act like one. I started to get in rooms with people that were doing that type of revenue. I didn't try to just stay where I was at. And over the course of the last year, I've actually struggled to realize that what got me to where I was at 7 figures isn't necessarily going to get me to multiple 7 figures. So my mindset actually over the last year never ended up elevating to be a multi-7-figure agency owner. And so there's levels to all of this stuff. There's levels to everything that you're going to do in life. But wherever you're at right now, you need to think about that next level. And then when you get to that next level, you have to think about the level after that. You can't stay content. You can't stay comfortable with all of that stuff. The next thing is, what habits do I have to add and subtract in order to become this person? So you want to be the 7-figure agency owner, you want to be the $10 million a year agency owner. You're going to have to both add and subtract habits from your lifestyle. And as I mentioned earlier, this could be people. This could be the habit of hanging out with certain people. Everybody says you are the common denominator of the 5, or the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. That is absolutely true. And so it might be adding specific routines, it might be working out, it might be doing all those things. Show of hands here, who told themselves that they were gonna work out at least once this week when they got here? All right, keep your hands raised. How many of you have actually worked out? Like, truthfully, okay, we got some motivational people here. How many people have done it every single day? Every single day, wow, love it. You are gonna see the common denominators and the common things among the most successful people. And I made a video about this the other day. The first day I got here, I was going for a run, walk, and then I went into the gym. And I saw some people in the gym. There was only a couple people in there. I saw some people in the gym, and they have agencies that are bigger than mine. That's where, and this is just an example, but that's where the successful people, they have the habits, they have the routines, they're hanging out in those specific things. And even though we're on vacation, even though we're technically, doing some work, but we're still able to enjoy ourselves, they're still putting in the work in order to get there. Last year, after TCS, I took 7.5 months off of drinking. It wasn't serving who I was. It wasn't serving the person that I was trying to become. And recently I have started to drink again, but my relationship with alcohol has changed. It's not something that I absolutely have to do all of the time, but I needed to take that 7.5 months off in order to figure out specifically who I was and how that, drinking alcohol and going out and doing those things was actually impacting my business as well. So there's gonna be things in your life that you need to write down right now that says, hey, I need to stop doing this and I need to start doing that. And then, do my daily routines reflect where I'm trying to go to? So you have individual habits, you have those individual habits that you put into routines, and then you can have routines in the morning, entire day routines, and then you can have nighttime routines. I have 6 things that I do every single day. It's working out, it's reading 10 pages, it's drinking a gallon of water, it's 10 minutes of meditation, it's a social media post, and then I read what I refer to as my champion's legacy. So that is a bunch of mixture of things where I talk about my purpose, I read it out loud to myself, I talk about my commitment, I read a bunch of I am statements, I will statements for the future, and then I am no longer statements. And then I read my core values to finish it up. Everybody thinks that habits are automatically transformed into routines. You have to consistently do these habits over and over and over again in the structure of a routine in order to get the outcome that you're looking for. And it's not something that you can just do 1 time, 2 times, things like that. You have to consistently have the routines of the people that are doing the revenue or in the positions that you want to be. None of this stuff is rocket science. Success leaves clues. So anytime I feel like I'm content, anytime I feel like I've reached my peak performance, I'm always trying to learn from the people that are doing different things. So I've added things like meditation. I added things like my champion's legacy, which I just started to do a couple months ago because I saw and heard from people that were way beyond where I was that were doing this and being super, super effective with it. And that's the stuff that I want to continue to consume in order to be the best version who I can possibly be. And so as we finish up the habits, we finish up the mindset, we finish up the routines, I'm here to tell you guys, if you haven't noticed, digital marketing is a very crowded space. And you have to stick out from the crowd in order to be successful. So I was in medical device sales, and I had one other competitor. Everybody's like, Adam, why would you leave medical device sales to go into digital marketing? Like, you only had to be better than one company. Like, that's all I had to do, literally. We had a better product. The 2 reps that I was competing with at the same company, they were getting ready for retirement. And so they basically saw a 26-year-old kid in there, and they were coasting to retirement. So I went in, I was super successful. I grew the book of business to $25 million a year. But I didn't have to have the personal branding. I didn't have to have all the things that have made me successful in digital marketing because I only had to be better than one company, one competitor. And so when I got to digital marketing, I realized, oh my gosh, I have to find a way to stick out from the crowd. I have to do this differently. In the beginning, I was just like everybody else. I literally paid somebody $5,000 to get into a course for them to tell me to do that. Has anybody else ever done something similar? Anybody ever had a cover photo that looked like that? Yeah. So that was me. So that was a month into doing this full time. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna specialize in this 10x kitchen remodel growth system. Like, I have no idea what I made up, but if you guys notice, Brad Akers is the only one that actually liked the page of anybody that I know. The rest were bots. And at the time, I don't even think Brad and I really knew each other. He was probably just trying to steal whatever I was doing. But what I'm trying to say here is, like, I've tried all the stuff that typical digital marketers try to do when they're trying to grow and scale. And I paid a bunch of money to learn this literal thing that has been reproduced over and over and over again. So I tried to go down that path. I tried to offer kitchen remodelers the idea that they could get 30 extra kitchen remodel opportunities per month, and realized that's not what I wanted to do because it wasn't working. I spent a bunch of money in paid ads behind a campaign. Bunch of people that opted in, they scheduled on my calendar. Nobody showed up. One guy literally was like, hey, please stop emailing and calling me. I'm like, you're the one that came into this thing. And he's like, no, I went into 10X kitchen growth, remodel, whatever. I'm like, that's me. And he's like, no. I was like, all right, something's got to change. So what I ended up doing is I joined that mastermind, and that mastermind was very focused on personal branding. And it taught the idea that you needed to become the authority. You needed to have that know, like, and trust factor in order to be successful, right? So people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. It's obvious, right? So here are some of the things that I've done consistently over the last coming up on 3 years now. So this has been a 3-year journey. Social media. Started out with just Facebook. Now I do it across all the platforms that are out there. Podcasts. So I launch a podcast called Entrepreneur every single Thursday morning. And I have not missed a day. And I think this week we're doing the 70th episode, 69 or 70 this week. Consistent, right? And I've also been a guest, as Kevin was talking about, I've been a guest on a multitude of other podcasts. I think right now, as I've had somebody keep track of it, I think over 150 podcasts I've been a guest on in the last 3 years. Launched a YouTube channel last year. Done a ton of networking. And as I mentioned before, speaking opportunities, all of those things, Kevin talked about it, now I'm talking about it as well. You need to take advantage of all these opportunities. None of those things cost me any money to do. You obviously can put money behind some of this stuff, but you can absolutely do this without having to spend a dime. And so when we talk about becoming the authority, it's really important to do that because you have to stop being like everybody else. This is just a snapshot of my Facebook page. You see a picture of Delaney, Georgie, and I. This is us at the park. You see a picture of a headshot of me. But if you go to 90% of digital marketers, and if you guys have this set up on your Facebook right now, I don't mean to, point at you, but most digital marketers, it's a show up and throw up. There's some cover photo like the cover photo that I had before. There's some consistent post that's pinned up that's like a random case study that you did for one client one time 10 years ago, or it's a picture of a heat map that we all know that you just put in a keyword that nobody searches and then you're trying to promote your results, right? So I changed the way I do Facebook. I changed the way I do my personal branding because I'm a human just like my ideal clients are humans, right? So I started leveraging this stuff back in August of 2020 on Facebook. I post twice a day, every single day. Twice a day, every single day, once at 7 a.m. and once at 5 p.m. during the week, and then weekends tend to vary just based on availability and what I have going on. The reason why I do it at 7 a.m. and the reason why I do it at 5 p.m. is because typically at 7 a.m. the business owners haven't started the hustle and bustle of the day and their employees aren't there yet to basically bug them on what's ever going on. And then at 5 p.m. people are leaving the office, business owners are out and about doing whatever. So it's strategic, right? And then I also strategically add business owners so that way they can see my content. And I'm going to show you an example of a 3 to 4 year journey of somebody I closed using this exact same method, and I don't cold DM them. So if I see their business Facebook page that's out there, maybe they're running incorrectly targeted ads, I will then go add the business owner on my personal page and just try to build the authority because I know that I probably have easier access to the decision maker on his personal page. And I ended up cleaning up my profile so then that way it wasn't just one big cold sales pitch. I wanted to make, again, it human, right? Human connection. I wanted people to understand who I was so then that way I could understand them. And this is just some content and ideas about how I post. At the core focus of this is I make it about them and not me. So Robin yesterday was talking about GHL. He was talking about connecting with the ideal audience, connecting with his customers, and then putting messaging and building solutions and products around that. This is just a snapshot of my last 30 days. I have no idea if this is good or not, but it has consistently continued to grow in terms of reach, engagement. Looks like I didn't get as many followers as a month before, 3-second video views, but it's the consistent effort that goes into all of this stuff. And so with my daily posting, I make 90% of it have nothing to do with digital marketing. The reason is because I mentioned that these people are human. Business is business about 80% of the time. Whether they're a roofing company, they're an HVAC company, they own an accounting firm, or it's digital marketing. That 20% is where things get super, super specific. But they're dealing with the same problems that we're dealing when it comes to hiring and firing people. They still have to do payroll. They still have to pay taxes. They still have to sometimes, fund money from their personal bank account into the business in order to keep the lights on. Like, that's what you need to connect with. Not trying to show up and talk about why you're the greatest digital marketer that's out there. So I talk about personal stuff. I talk about day in the life of the entrepreneur, health and fitness, personal development, all of those things because that's what they're going through as well. And that tends to get a deeper connection. It tends to build that authority that you're looking for so then that way you can be top of mind. With the 10% that I do have that's digital marketing or marketing focused, it's all about storytelling. So nobody wants to be sold, but everybody loves a good story that can walk them down a path to and eventually buy from you. I also highlight my team. So a bunch of my team is there in the back. They are absolutely amazing. Round of applause for them. Yeah. As I became the authority, one of the biggest issues that I saw is that people were buying from Adam and they weren't buying from Height. And I still deal with this from time to time, but you have to really do a good job of highlighting your team, especially if you're not in the business. Right? If you're not the one that's managing the accounts, you're not the one that's onboarding them, you're not the one that has any idea what's going on. And I'll admit, I don't have any idea what's going on about 95% of the time, even though I want to think that I do, right? But I had to start highlighting my team because they're absolutely amazing, and I needed to let people know who they were and who was actually doing the work. And once I've started to do that and help people understand that it's not just me, the people that we onboard now that go through the ideal process, they have such a better experience because they don't have to talk to me, right? It's amazing. I talk about client wins. I give industry education. I do all of those types of things with my content. And when we get into prospecting and sales, this is what I haven't done since I made that pivot. So I haven't thought that I was different. I know everybody in here probably thinks if you sat down and I said, hey, what's different about your agency? You would have an entire elevator pitch. Oh, I do this so much better. I'm so much better at this. I have experience doing this. No. Business owners who are paying us don't think we're different. I'm sure you've heard that. I've already been through 10 digital marketing agencies. You guys all do the same stuff. I don't try to create perfect offers. So a lot of agency owners that I talk to were like, Adam, I need help identifying what offer is going to work best for my ideal target market. What is your offer? So I don't have an offer. I can't say I've never had one because you saw the 10X kitchen remodel growth one, but when I've been successful with stuff, I haven't had an offer. And I literally hear people saying, well, Adam, I can't do my personal branding and my content because my offer isn't ready yet. It's like, no, stop. Just get started. Don't worry about an offer and just promote what it is that you do. Don't cold call, don't spam, don't bait and switch. And with the offer stuff, don't offer impossible guarantees. Don't offer the guarantee that we all know you can't actually fulfill on because it's not real. When you do that, you're going to get a charge back from a client 2 weeks later, because I've also been there and I've done that, right? Focus on what you can control and what works. Here's what I have done. I have created that know, like, and trust. I have provided value first and then sold second. When you provide value first, the sale happens super, super easy. They almost walk themselves into the sale once you provide what they want first and not just try to sell them. I've built a brand. I've listened to what the market was saying, what they didn't like and what they liked about digital marketing and how they wanted to see content and how they wanted to be approached by digital marketing companies. And all of this has allowed for others to remember me when they think about digital marketing. So a lot of people that are connected to me on Facebook, I'm never going to do business with them. It's just not possible, right? But then they start to tag me, then they start to refer us, because they're like, oh my gosh, I know that there's a bunch of digital marketers out there, but I know Adam shows up the most. I hear it all the time. People are like, Adam, I can't go from one social media platform to YouTube, to podcasts, to all of these other platforms and not see something that you're putting out there. It's by design. So I'm going to run through a quick little showcase for you. So this is back in July 2019. So this is coming up on 4 years ago. So July 2019, I was doing this on the side, and I had an obsession with sales funnels because I had tried SEO, I had tried Facebook ads, I had tried to do it, all that stuff, and none of it worked. So I'm like, oh, I just found out about this cool thing called a sales funnel. So there's this company here in St. Louis. I messaged them, and I said, hey, do you have a sales funnel? Like, I just hopped right in. I was like, hey, do you have a sales funnel? And he said, I have a cookie jar that I keep my money in. And he said, it's 9:15 at night, not cool. I'm literally Googling that. And I said, I apologize. I'm doing after-hours customer outreach. And he said, I appreciate that. Then I just jumped right back in, and I said, I noticed you're running the Facebook ads in Groupon, so I would see that they were already doing ads, and I'm like, hey, you need to try this. Here's an example of a roofing one I just did. Let me know if you're interested. He said, I'd potentially be interested, and then I tried to sell him on a cold pitch, but I never heard back from him. So fast forward to December of 2018, he didn't respond. I sent another DM, nothing back. Then you'll see right as COVID is happening. This guy didn't have a website, and I had already been off the sales funnel phase because nobody bought that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go try to pitch this guy a free website in a market where everybody is pulling back their money in COVID. I literally said, hey, can I build you a free website? You would just have to pay monthly maintenance and hosting. Never heard from the guy. What I did do, though, is I added that business owner at that time on Facebook. And so February of 2022, so a year and a half later, this business owner reaches out to me, says, hey, Adam, you came highly recommended from a local Facebook group on digital marketing, and you really caught my eye because one of your profile hashtags, which was around mindset and one of the mastermind groups that I was in. He's like, I'd love to see if you guys can help us. So I sent him over a digital audit video, going over his online presence, all of that stuff. His website was down, so he literally needed exactly what we were able to offer. Sent him over the video. We set up a call. Things went great. He literally paid $5,000 for a website, and he's paid us tens of thousands of dollars over the last year and a half to do search engine optimization. So we're looking now at almost 4 years that have gone by at this point since I initially started that. That guy went from being somebody that didn't even want to take something free from me to now paying top dollar. And once he actually submitted the invoice and paid, I sent him, hey man, I tried to give this to you for free a couple years ago. And now you're paying top dollar for it. And he didn't even know, of course, but he laughed about it, and he just said, man, everybody recommended you in that group. I needed to work with somebody that I knew, that I liked, and that I trusted, right? So this stuff is just super, super amazing to see. And then a couple months ago, he reached out and said, hey, can I get more of the hats you sent? So we were sending out hats of that guy's, or of all of our clients' logo. I was writing a handwritten card after the fact. So Johnny and Joe from Height Swag, they were able to provide us with a hat. And then that turned into another order. And then the guy also reached out and was like, hey, man, I've gotten 9 leads and I closed 100% of them. Like, randomly just sent me that stuff, right? So this stuff is really, really cool to see. And when I talk about building a team, as I finish everything up here, is you can't do this stuff alone. We have an incredible team that we've been able to build and scale and coach up and do all these amazing things because I had to delegate and elevate within the agency. I had to focus on RGA's revenue-generating activities because I had to push the needle forward in the business, and I had to rely on our team to do everything else. I had to stop wearing all of the hats. I'm really good at like one or two things, but I was doing all of them. And there's people on our team and people that you can get on your team that actually enjoy doing the things you don't want to do, right? You have to put your ego aside. And you have to know your strengths and double down on those instead of trying to, perfect that weakness. Just let the weakness go to the side and work on what you actually enjoy doing, the stuff that makes you the most money, the stuff that lights you up, right? There's nothing worse than seeing something on your calendar where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. Find somebody to do it, right? Absolutely. So this is just a little bit about my digital marketing journey. I don't put this up here to like showboat or anything like that. I just show you what can happen in a very short period of time. So 2018, I literally didn't collect a single dollar, put a bunch of money into that program and didn't get anything from it. And then in 2019, I did $9,000 in sales. 2020, which was 6 months of me doing this part-time, 6 months of just rank and rent, did $150,000. At the end, which is kind of what started the new journey, at the end of 2020, I decided to do just traditional digital marketing services. I went and did $750,000 in 2021. 2022, we did $1.75 million. So far this year, through the end of May, $870,000 with a run rate of about $2.25 million on that book of business. And just some stuff over the last 12 months, our MRR has averaged around $134,000. We've averaged $49,000 in new sales every single month on average over the last 12 months. So Demi is back there. She has done an incredible job and helped scale that past just me. No way I could do that alone. And JC had that 7.2% churn number of what it should be based on like a variety of different equations he was doing yesterday. That's literally been ours. So I don't know if he looked at my presentation and took that down. But ours has been 7.2%. And then the client volume has, over the 12 months, we've averaged about 107.5 clients over that time. So not only is this stuff working, right, but we're growing our book of business, we're retaining those clients, and we're doing it in a way that's actually able to be scaled for the future. And we haven't spent any money on paid advertising. So many people are throwing money down the drain trying to promote what they do and be like everybody else and focus on all this stuff. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do that. There is a better way. There's a better way, absolutely, that you guys can do this where it won't have you losing sleep or money. So that's all I have today. Thank you, guys. Let's stay connected, and I look forward to seeing you guys the rest of the week. Thank you guys very much.